Hi everybody, my name is Shayla and today I'm going to try something a little bit different on my channel. Yesterday I was doing a Bible study and I try to do them every so often, but for this particular scripture I feel like the Lord gave me some stuff to talk about with it, so I am going to try doing this Bible study, and I've never done anything like this before on camera, so I'm a little nervous, but you know, I believe God has. I was reading Mark chapter 9 verse 14 through 29, and I'm reading out of my Life Application Study Bible, and this was actually a gift to me. I'm reading the New International Version. And so I'm just gonna jump right into it. So the title of this portion of the chapter is Jesus Heals a Demon-Possessed Boy. So verse 14. When they came to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them and the teachers of the law arguing with them. As soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and ran to greet him. "What are you arguing about with them?" he asked. A man in the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought you my son who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnaws his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not." "You unbelieving generation," Jesus replied, How long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." So, the very first part of this chapter, when it talks about how they came to the other disciples, earlier in the chapter, Jesus went on a mountaintop with Peter, James, and John, and they witnessed his transfiguration. And so it was this beautiful moment. Jesus, his clothes turned to pure white, and they saw Elijah and Moses speaking with him. So they had like this very sincere, beautiful moment. Not all of the disciples got to witness this. And so when they came to the other disciples, they see a huge crowd arguing with them. And it's such a contrast to me. I find that to be very interesting. So it makes you wonder, well, what could have happened? And so when the scripture starts to explain the situation, what are you arguing with them about? This man who has this demon-possessed son, he says that the disciples couldn't heal the boy. And I'm gonna go on and talk about that a little bit later, but Jesus starts to call the generation unbelieving. And so it's like, if you believe in Jesus, what would cause him to immediately respond with that? Because many of us Christians, we say that we believe, but it's like in our hearts, do we truly and honestly believe? So moving on a little bit, verse 20, so they brought him, the boy. When the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" "From childhood," he answered. "It has often thrown him into fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help." So there are a few things about this particular portion that was 20 through 22. And first off, as soon as the spirit, not the boy, as soon as the spirit saw Jesus, it threw the boy into another trance. And isn't it funny how whenever our situation seems to be getting worse, or whenever our situation seems to be getting very agitated, we can immediately think, oh my goodness, this is awful. God must have forgotten about me. Actually, no. God is in the midst of your situation. Oftentimes, the enemy will lie to us and tell us that God is no longer paying attention, that God is not as powerful as he says that he is, so on and so forth. The lies of the enemy. But no. Sometimes when your situation seems to be riling up and getting thicker and growing, that actually could mean that you are about to receive a healing, because the enemy, the spirit in this boy, recognized the power of God. And so that's what sent him over the edge. It wasn't, oh, God left. It's actually God is right here and he's about to fix something. He's about to heal something. So don't ever think that just because things are getting worse, that means God has walked away. Actually, God has walked up. And then also, Jesus asked the boy's father, how long has he been like this? The boy's father responded that he had been like that since he was a child, since childhood. So this boy must be, past childhood. So for a long time, for years, this boy has been dealing with, the enemy, the spirit, these seizures. Isn't it funny how we can be in our situation for years, for a very long time? We can have no hope, we can have no faith, we can think that God, won't fix our situation or can't change these things around. It's perfectly normal for God to deal with something from our childhood or something that we've been thinking that we've been fighting and losing, and it's been a long time. No, God can walk in at any time and fix our situation, no matter how tired we are, no matter what our faith level is. But let me go on. I'm going to repeat what the man said to Jesus. It has often thrown him into fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. If you can, said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. And when I first read that, I paused as well, because the man said, if you can. Jesus, if you can do this, fix it for me. Jesus, if you know how to insert yourself into my situation and change this and that around, have pity on us and do it. We have to have more faith in that, you guys. We know that Jesus has the power. We know that he can fix things. There is no if, you guys. And so that's what Jesus said. If you can, everything is possible for one who believes. Sometimes it's just going to take us sitting down and saying, Lord, I trust you with this. I know, Lord, that you have the power. Sometimes you just have to read your word and just assure yourself in God's power. And I understand it's not always going to be easy, but it's all about our faith level. It's all about our beliefs, our belief level. And that's something that we have to work on. Just know that Jesus can do it for the one who believes. Immediately, the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief. That to me, it really just took me back when I heard it, because for the past few years I've been praying, Lord, help my unbelief for this situation. Lord, help my unbelief, XYZ. Sometimes our beliefs are not the problem. If you believe, you believe. That's a good thing. But it's our unbeliefs that present the problem to us. It was his unbelief that caused him to throw the word if in front of you can, because we know that Jesus can. But sometimes we have to just sit down and pray, Lord, help our unbelief, because that's where a lot of our problems stem from. Okay, verse 25. When Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the impure spirit. You deaf and mute spirit, he said, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. The spirit shrieked, convulsed him violently, and came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said, he's dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. After Jesus had gone indoors, his disciples asked him privately, why couldn't we drive it out? He replied, this kind can come out only by prayer. So when I read that part, I just started to picture the situation. And Jesus said, this kind can come out only by prayer. So that must have meant that the disciples were trying probably anything but prayer. The disciples knew that there was a crowd around, so they must have been trying to put on a show like, watch me do this, or watch me lay hands or something like that to heal this young boy, and it wasn't working. You guys, sometimes all it takes is a simple, intimate conversation with the Lord. It's really never about making a show. Let me say that right now. We can't think that we can get through everything without talking to the Lord. I mean, prayer is fundamental in a Christian's life. This atmosphere of, oh, let me try this so all these other people can see me, you guys, that is ridiculous. We have one person that we need to turn to whenever things are going haywire, and that is the Lord. If you're trying to do it without the Lord, it won't work. And so I was going through, this portion of chapter 9, Mark chapter 9. I was reminded of earlier in the scripture where Jesus actually did give his disciples the power to go off. I think they were in twos or they were in groups. They weren't by themselves, and they were healing other people. And so it wasn't just one disciple that was dealing with this demon-possessed boy. It was multiple. So why is it that if they had the power to go off and do it then they weren't able to heal this boy now? And it kind of made me think that in some way, shape, or form, the disciples had lost faith, or they weren't as on fire for the Lord as they were when they had gone out earlier in their mission to go heal other people. You guys, I understand that times can get hard. I understand that this relationship with the Lord can go up and down, but that's the thing, you guys. We cannot lose faith. You have to always monitor whenever you feel as if your faith is faltering. What I'm trying to say is, don't think that just because one situation turned out perfect that we don't need the Lord anymore. It really is a relationship with our God that we have to constantly keep seeking Him. We have to constantly keep going to Him in prayer. We have to constantly read His word, because that's how we keep our faith going. Do you think that one good incident from months ago, years ago, or whatever, the faith that you may have gotten from that is enough to get you throughout your Christian life? I personally would suggest we can't ever think that we're too good, or that we're like in such a good position that, okay, I don't have to talk to God today, or, I don't have to listen to worship music, read my word, pray, or do those things, because we have to sustain our faith. It is a process. I'm sure the disciples learned that in that moment, that the power that they had once it won't stay with them if they are faltering in their faith. It won't stay with them if they are not seeking God, and most importantly, it won't stay with them if they're using it to kind of make themselves seem big and grand. I believe that was a big problem when it came to this specific situation. I really, really hope that this helps somebody. I hope that somebody learns something from it. I consider this me stepping out on faith and trying to talk more about the Lord, because I can get nervous just talking about things in general. But you know what? I serve a faithful God that loves us, and I feel as if this didn't happen for no reason. I don't feel like it happened for no reason. So love you guys, stay blessed, and I will see you soon. Bye.